Welcome to another episode of Carnival of Randomness, and we are in our Zoom, and we've been doing our Zooms from abroad. And Pat, Vicky had a message for you. Watch the ski slopes next time.
Yeah.
So we were in Paris last time. Now we go around the world to the homeland of the greatest living actress right now, currently, and I'm very thrilled. First, we have Chaz from somewhere, but I'm very thrilled to have my old mate and friend for life on, Dave. Hey, how you doing, mate?
Good yourselves.
And the thing is, I was actually going to ask you, I might have asked you years ago, but I was drunk most of the time, so I forgot. You're nodding your head.
I think I was most of the time as well.
Yes. Some of the stories people probably have about us, we can't run for political office, might be a good thing. But how did you actually ever get into the hospitality business, and what brought you to America?
My first job was in a pub. I just never managed to escape it, unfortunately, and I went to, for some reason, decided it'd be a good subject to study at university. And in England, our universities are a little bit different the way we do things than they are in America. So most of our courses are 4 years long, but for 1 year, we get to go out into the real world and work. And the possibility to come and work in America came up, which I said no, didn't want to do it, didn't hate the idea. Then it was said it's New York. Still no, definitely don't want to do that. And it's upstate New York. I went, no, can't stand it. It goes, it's 4 hours from Toronto. I'm in. That was next year.
Yeah, I see Pat nodding his head. The only thing I would say in his defense is, when he was here, it wasn't as psychotic as it is now.
It was pretty bad.
But now I remember being served by you back in the day.
What did you do? I didn't know he worked as a bail bondsman too.
Yeah. No, he was a bounty hunter at the time, I believe, and I did a little skip jumping, and before I knew it, I turned around and there he is. This British guy is.
That's ironic.
Working me over in the back
I didn't realize, I was like a fixture for a while at the old Toad, and I don't know if I ran into you. I mean, MJ would come in sometime, but I was in the sheets a lot of times. So forgive me if I didn't notice you. But actually, I never thought of this either. Were there other options? Like, could you have gone to real America, like Idaho or somewhere?
Yeah, the Hilton Head Island was one that I was actually looking at as a possibility. Disney did a big thing at our university to get people over. There was one in Texas.
Well, that's
I actually wanted
obviously.
Yeah. I actually wanted Australia, and I was actually got down to the final selection of that. And then the gentleman who did the interviews for the old Told, Dave Wickett, unfortunately he's no longer with us.
Yes, bless.
Was a very good salesman. A few white lies about Rochester. Made it sound so good. And
the weather's always wonderful.
I think he said it was one of the greenest cities in America. It was an upcoming city.
Greenest for 2 months of the year. Yeah. But actually, I'm still in touch with their good friend Rachel Wilkins, now Chapman, that the day. And I always tell her about Australia. I am just paranoid I'm going to die going there because of all the poisonous things. And she's like, it doesn't happen. But then the one day she had a Western brown snake in her bedroom. Like, oh yeah, that's sales. It's like, yeah, it's got
that's not a snake. This
18
is
of the 20th most poison animals in the world are from there or something.
Yeah, I think it's almost everything in there wants to kill you, especially the people. Being a Brit, it's not a great place. I went over many years ago. What's the cricket?
Well, I would like to go to Japan, but for me, I just have to find a way to handle the 22-hour flight. Number one, I would like to see New Zealand, but for me, it's the flying. Well, right now in this era, I'm not going anywhere for quite a while. I'm going to be gone like Chaz wherever he vanished to here. But I'll give you a little background about the old Toad. It started about, and Patrick, maybe you know a little about this, but I'm going to try to use if memory serves. I think it started about 1990, and I used to hang around at a bar called Waterworks that was like where it then became Dublin Underground. Whiskey was before that. And it just turned out, well, there's this pub that opened. This was like I was a senior in college. It was like this British pub, and we wandered down there. And it was really cool. But then I sort of was gone from the area in the 1990s, and I came back, and like, it's the salmon returning home. I found it again.
On Alexander Street.
Yeah. Because remember go on.
When I first broke out of living with my mom and dad around age, 20, when we all do that, I inherited from a friend a attic apartment about 5 houses down from it on Alexander Street, above a hair salon. The good news is I got free heat from the hair salon downstairs coming up through the rafters. Bad news was my room smelled like burning hair.
Yeah, I would say that's a horrible smell. That is an awful smell.
That was right there. I remember the street very well. It's still happening with restaurants and pubs.
Not so much, because I go to Little every now and then still. My friend Katie Morey played. I feel fairly safe there, especially because she didn't advertise the show and nobody was there. It's a storm. And I walked down there like, Dave, you weren't, the old Toad's still there. Pretty much nothing is otherwise that you would recognize. And it would just sort of more a little like a ghost town a little bit now, but also consider obviously the circumstances.
I think you could say that probably about everywhere.
Yeah, about everywhere right now and everything else out
there.
Yeah.
I came back a couple of years ago to Rochester, just with the missus, went to New York, up to Niagara Falls. She actually thought Rochester was actually one of the better places we went, believe it or not. She didn't like New York, it was too busy. She liked Rochester. Got to go to, went to Toad, but we were there on a Sunday night, which, we used to be packed. Quiz night, it was busy. I think there was like 2 teams.
Well, the one story I have to give you from that. So I would go down, I would stop in on Sundays, then I would go down to Dublin to see Megan, and I would go into my home bar, The Corner, and go around, right? So I'm there the one night, I think it was Tom Bethel, I'm pretty sure. So we're there and it's getting late, so everybody's dispersing out after quiz night. This guy comes in, he's like, I just got out of prison and I'm ready to really run wild. And Tom's like, KG, do you really have to go anywhere? But that was my old nickname too. But I think also the thing I've been really reflecting on in life lately is we go through stages. And I think if we would go back to Toad, it would be weird because probably maybe you might recognize one person or two, but nobody's really there. I know Brian, and I'll shout out to Brian because he's got COVID right now. And he caught it right before the day before he was going to get his booster. So I told him we'd say hi, but it's like he's working there, but they've done something happened. Maybe it was COVID. They don't have as many people from England anymore on the staff. And I think it's like nobody would really recognize us. It would be like the whole thing, like you walk in and like, wait a second, everybody should know me here, and they don't. And I think we go in stages in life, but we bring things along with us. And I just hope, during my time there, I hope I brought a little bit of entertainment to the staff and everybody. I wasn't like one of the villains.
A little bit of entertainment, yeah.
Some of those, leaving at 7 a.m. from Toad Hall, wondering where my car was a little different.
Oh God, I missed that place. That was fun. That was a weird place to live. Has to be said. Very weird place to live.
You were at Toad Hall, weren't you? Because I think they had the one on Pream. Because I remember going to pick up Emma and Charlotte from there a few times.
Yeah, we were the first year they bought the house. Kevin and I think his brother bought the house for some of the students. So we kind of got split. The girls went there. They had the nice place, and we had Toad Hall.
You ran by me. Excuse me.
It was that's the sort of place as growing up you kind of need to go through it. tell you what, your immune system, if it didn't kill you, you were definitely much stronger with your immune system coming out of that place.
I think that's what happened to me, like with my recent issues, like dealing with my dad for all those years wrecked my health. And then I had some other things. And I think like now I've got a clean bill of health. And I'm convinced those days made me pretty much like a cockroach. I was telling Bobby T at the Bug Jar, because he had some health problems. I said, look, we're like cockroaches. We're going to end up dying because I'm going to get a splinter and I'm not going to get it checked. I'm going to get an infection. But I remember some of those parties, like an individual I won't name at the one kept saying how hard he could bounce off the wall at the one.
There's many comments coming out of those parties.
Yeah, there are any stories you could tell that like are not X-rated, just don't name names. Don't have one like me when I'm some of the stuff I did.
One thing that always stuck in my head is actually the morning after a party. And you're all a bit hungover, you all need something to drink. By the way, our sink is not a place you want to go and get some water, so I just turned around and said,
I think I pissed in it one time, actually. Sorry.
Probably not the worst thing that ever happened in that sink, trust me. So I needed something to drink, and I knew we had a bunch of Coca-Cola or Pepsi around or whatever. So I turned around and said, how much Coke we got left? About 2 grams. Do you want some? I'm literally on my way out to go to work, and that was the first comment the guy who's coming out with me to work says. I was like, oh, God, this is going to be a long day.
I had the one comment from Brian was classic. We were like, getting like somehow like it's like 7 a.m. We feel like a bag of wet cheese doodles, basically. So we're going out, and Brian looks at me and goes, we're just going out. Everybody's going to work. And I'm like, I got to go work in 2 hours. That's why I have a thing like for the show where like if people don't show up because they're hungover, and there's certain people I won't mention who have done that. I'm thinking I went to work blasted off my mind with no sleep before, but I think, or like that classic birthday party John Adams and I had where we still don't remember most of the night. I remember Rachel. I remember like actually Matt Moran, Pat, I'll use his name, passed out in a snowbank. Like I'm and now we're going to the episode of, okay, anybody who's going to hire us who watches this will not hire us for anything ever. But actually, I was watching Last Christmas, which is probably the best Christmas movie I've seen like in a long time. And the thing about it was, though, besides like the actress who was great, they just the scenes in London. I was watching that going, I missed this. You'll never have that in Rochester, I don't think, unless you get one of my movies or like somebody like the one that you could actually see. Oh, everybody will go, what the hell are you talking about? What's that place? But that's
I miss Rochester. Believe it or not.
What did you
I miss
think
the people.
What did you think of, like, I always ask this question from your perspectives. What did you think of us Americans? We're not all like gun-toting, bacon-eating nuts, are we?
No, I always say to
have a
people
horse tranquilizer.
Now, I always say to people over here, and they say, oh, what Americans really like, and they get this image in their head of the guns, the burgers, or... I always say there's 2 types of people in America, and they're on both levels of the extreme. There's the full-on gun nuts that are all about that, and then there's the proper whack jobs. And it's like, and he just look at me and go, what do you mean? He goes, do you even like that and what you expect in the movie, or they are so much weirder?
Also, I love this perspective, though, because, like, Vicky's from here. My friend Vicky was on last week. She's living in Paris, but she's actually from here. I love to see, like, but the thing that disappointed me when I was in England with the soccer hooligans, because I was hoping I would get like cracked over the head with a bottle or something, but they're looking at me drunk and they're going, you, my dear, my friend was with me, and they're like, you're cute. Then they looked at me and said, you're gorgeous. So I forever have them in my heart. I was like disappointed though, because I'm like, they're legit soccer hooligans, but they're not doing anything. They're nice.
And we got rid of them, thank God. Hello. My nan always said she was the first one of those, but It's always a great story because you used to have like little wooden things that you did this called rattles.
Oh, I know what they are.
My nan always told the story. She went to watch a game at the Cop in Liverpool, which back then women didn't tend to go by themselves. And this guy told her to shut up and go and find her husband, so she just whacked him over the back of the head with one. Next thing, there's a bit of a fight going on in the Cop at Liverpool.
As she should have.
I never asked Pat, have you ever been to England?
Have I? I've never.
Have you ever been to England? No, you should go sometime when this thing ends in 2032 or whatever.
Well, you can come over. Most of our restrictions ended today, so no masks, no social distancing. Back to work in offices.
I have promised to visit when this crap gets over here,
that happened here,
which might be a while still.
That happened
Dave,
here
what's going on with your Prime Minister Boris? I hear he's in trouble. What's happening?
The party animal.
He is trouble.
The name though, just the name of his like Boris Johnson. All I think of is like Rocky and Bullwinkle. But that's actually
make more sense.
We could talk soft politics a little because none of us are like these flamethrowers. How would you contrast the way things are going there compared to here in terms of political stuff? Is it as insane as it is here?
It's getting there.
So
really
it's like you're either one side or another, and the other side is pure evil.
No, we didn't get the bad side of that, or if people want to say about Trump being the bad guy, we just got the nut job, whack job who doesn't follow the rules, who's being caught now hosting many parties at Downing Street while everybody else is being told to stay apart. The worst one actually being the day before Prince Philip's funeral. They held a party at Downing Street, and the following day, obviously, we get the image of the Queen at her husband's funeral, sat alone.
Well, this guy was the mayor of London, wasn't he, before this?
Yeah, he was the mayor of London. He actually did a good job there. He was actually not too bad. He's just not prime minister material.
We had like a mayor of New York, and like at the time, I didn't really pay much attention, but I don't think he was that nuts, but he turned into like a flipping whack in his later life.
Donald Trump, diet Donald Trump.
Yeah.
But I never really got that he was like totally insane back in those days, but then like something happened. But actually, where do you live now? Where do you live now? What are you doing?
Me, I live in Chester, which is near Liverpool, which is where I'm from originally, about the middle of the country on the border of Wales. I actually work for a bank these days, believe it or not. I've grown up.
I think that's the thing that got me, where like some of my friends actually, they finally left the bars during this, and I think they got tired of the hangovers and they became grown-ups. Because I do have this view on life that I've developed over the last couple of years. I think we all go through stages and stuff, and I think I'm blessed that I take some lifelong friends around like you or anybody else. So like Chaz and I have known each other for like over 20 years. I have lifelong friends. I have new friends I've just met because they weren't born till, whenever. But I think we bring them along. But I think sometimes you just know you have to go on to the next stage. You don't want to stay. Brian and I used to use the term, you don't want to be that guy. Like the guy who comes in, it's like, okay, you're too old to do this. You're just making an idiot of yourself or whatever else. And I think eventually, you move on and you find like something else you want to do. And I think that's how it goes sometimes.
For me, I was managing a hotel just down the road.
How was it?
Stressful. 24 hours a day. I was living on site. There's a night where me and the missus were just trying to watch a film, and I got about 5 phone calls to go up, do stuff. The following day, I had this customer abusing one of my verbally abusing a member of staff. He tried to. It's like, you know what? That's it. Handed my notice in and got the job at the bank. And then 4 weeks after I started at the bank, this COVID started. So I got out at the right time as well.
Well, we had the one. I would never do rental properties because I remember one of my friends tried one. He got a call. He had to go out to Hamlin from around Holly. He had to go out to Holly from Rochester, which is a bit of a drive. It's like a blizzard. He goes out there and he finds out the one kid in there stuffed a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles figure down the toilet and plugged it up. So I wouldn't want to be that where like 24 hours a day the phone's gonna ring like at 4 a.m. and you have to go, that kind of stuff. But how when COVID hit, how did it affect England? Because I know how it affected us here. And did you have the anti-vax crowd, anti-mask crowd? Or...
Oh yeah, we've had a lot of that come out. There's been a lot of division. There's now, because we're pretty much quite highly vaccinated, we managed to get that rolled out quite quickly, upset a lot of people. Now there's talk about because people forget England, Scotland and Wales kind of have their own sort of rules, and Northern Ireland have their own rules. So in England now, to work in the NHS, they're saying you have to have your vaccines. There's no... So a lot of people aren't vaccinated that work in the NHS in England. I've been told they can go to Wales to work.
The Scots have to get vaccinated? I thought they were tougher than that. I'm joking.
I think they were just hoping that whiskey will just keep them safe all year.
That's what I was...
That is a question, though. How did you, like, in terms of, like, beer, I never figured that, like, when I was growing up, you basically had your slop over, and that was one of the things that the Toad was unique about when it opened, which was, like, 1990. And they let me in. I was, like, 5, but they still let me in. Yeah. And at the time, all you would get, like, around here is, like, you know, maybe you might find your best, but that was, like, where you finally had like the different beers like Watney's and everything, and how the industry has grown. What were your thoughts a little bit on, because you were big in this for a while, because we would just go to, you know, with the different things that was just like when you were growing up too, how you were a little younger, obviously. Well, I think you're a little older than me. How was it like in terms of like different types of beer you could get growing up, and how did it change?
Get your Guinness, you get your lager, so Carling, which is our version of Budweiser, it's pretty mainstream, not the best. And then you get a few bitters, so the Handpull, the Bass.
Yeah,
I never drank Bass until I actually went to America.
It's not even English, is it?
I think it is, but you don't see it over here. But yeah, where I am, Chester, there's a Sam Smith's pub, so I kind of had that sort of a teaching before I went to America. But my real beer education actually was at the Toad and in Rochester itself, because we had quite a few great pubs. We had the Toad at the time, which was fantastic. We had the Tap and Mallet, which unfortunately is no longer there.
I think Joe, what he's doing now, he's got a new one called Sheffield, and with the garbage that's gone on the last couple of years, I think he's just concentrating on that.
Yeah.
I thought it might have branched out.
Yeah,
you know, but I think, but that's like one of the things too, where, you know, before we didn't have a lot of choice. Now sometimes I think we have too much choice. And I think that's the problem sometimes. And I think eventually some are just going to fade by the wayside because it's just too much. But did you ever get any of the Beatles things? Everybody ever nag you about that because you're from Liverpool? No, I tell this story because Neil Scott used to go, he's from Nottingham, and I said, oh, Robin was like, well, you believe every freaking American Robin
on. Pretty much every single time. I used to switch up. I used to say I was from Wales, just to get rid of it, because nobody knows anything about Wales.
Well, there's all the Led Zeppelin things from Bron Rahr. None of us could pronounce any of the words. They have a patron saint of bunnies, I guess, too. There's like a statue to the little patron saint of. It's like a bunny that supposedly kept some saint safe or whatever, and fetter and all this kind of cool stuff.
I have never.
Yeah, there's a lot of saints in Wales.
I've never met a person with Welsh ancestry who wasn't all about it.
Oh yeah,
all about being Welsh. It's like the massive inferiority complex is projected on everyone. Listen up.
Oh, like Chekhov in Star Trek, where like, but the Welsh invented everything. No, I mean, it's it's kind of cool to be proud of what you're from. I don't know what we can like boast about up here.
Well,
Whatever.
beautiful country. It really is. It's one of the nicest countries. If you ever get a chance to come over here, you'd like a bit of greenery, countryside. Wales is amazing. My favourite thing about Wales, though, especially when I was growing up, that more people spoke Welsh in South America than in Wales. I just love that fact. It's the oldest language in the world, and people are, oh, we're Welsh, we'll speak your own language. Oh, we can't.
Yeah.
For being like from here, it's tough to try to read. Like I read Culloch and Owen, and my English teacher's husband was from Welsh. He would come in to try to translate, like try to get us through the words, because it would take a year to read 30 pages, basically trying to get through those words. But our language is supposed to be really messed up because it's just all the weird non-rules and rules and everything else.
Learning any language is difficult, man. The missus is from Spain, and I've been 5 years now trying to learn Spanish. I can order a beer until I'm tired and nothing else to eat. That's about it.
What else do you really know?
I'm sort of frustrated at that because I just suck at languages. I've tried and tried. I think the only thing I would say is if you don't use it, you're going to lose it probably.
Yeah, no, big time. I moved over to Madrid a couple of years ago, just after we actually started dating. It was great. I was English, moving to Spain. She was Spanish, staying in England. Best relationship ever. But yeah, I kind of got Spanish at that point. I can still listen to people talk and understand it, but speaking it, no.
I love Gaudi. I love his art, so I really want to get over there again. I haven't been there. I traveled a lot in my 20s, and then life and everything took over, and then like the last 5 years I've been sort of grounded for various reasons, and the good old terror bug or whatever popped up, so I've never been going anywhere for quite a while. But it's kind of weird because like we go back and then we go back under, because then it seems like everybody I know is like coming down with this thing every week. There's like somebody that's
I dodged a bullet. I just got back from Fort Lauderdale in Florida, and I was packed into the airport like sardines, and I thought, okay, my turn. I'm going to get Omicron. Miracle. I took a test yesterday, and I'm clean. I'll test again in a couple days, but I don't know how I dodged that bullet.
No, we're lucky. We're lucky. Like Pat, he got the positive, unfortunately, skiing as we called it, but he felt fine at least.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm vaccinated and boosted, so when you get it, you don't really. I mean, I didn't. Some people do. Like my housemate got a little bit sick, but you have that, and people will say like, "Well, what good's the vaccine if you can still get it?" And I'm just like, "Well, I got it, and I didn't get sick, and
Absolutely,
I didn't have to go to the hospital. I didn't have to be put on a ventilator, and I didn't die. So I don't know. I think it's worth it."
Sounds like a good. Sounds like you took the better option.
And if everyone was like that, and everything turned out to be like, okay, you get this relatively mild virus that doesn't do anything, then it wouldn't be a problem. So once again, that's just another big advertisement to get vaccinated.
In fact, I don't know. Do you follow like one of the things we talk about? This is like good because we're not talking about it as much as music. And do you have like do you have any like pulse on your local music scene there?
Not anymore. It's coming back, but the last 2 years it's just been nothing at all. Live music was banned for like a year in pubs. I think maybe longer. I mean, we've had 3 or 4 lockdowns, so we've been open. We don't know what the heck's going on. To be honest with you, half the time you get.
My friend Jenny, she's in a band, the Priscillas, and she's out of London, and she was posting pictures where it would be like lockdown, but then they'd show like the tons of people out, and she'd be just like, "Oh, we're doomed. And everything else. But I still love London. It seems like there's so much to see there, and you can just pretty much, you can find whatever you want there.
Oh yeah,
And I think the food I think there's like a stereotype like British food sucks, but I've never had like the problems with it or anything. Your thoughts, having worked at a restaurant?
I actually think we have some of the best food in the world. I mean, we went out, we invaded everywhere, and we just brought what we wanted back, pretty much.
Yeah. It's a lot of the British versions of other things are your food.
Yeah. Like we brought the curry back from
curry, that's
India.
Very
we brought kebabs back from Turkey. We brought everything back. We don't make it as good as the originals, obviously, but you know. But
well,
no,
a word of warning, and I think you might remember this, Dave. One of the most brutal foods I've ever had. Thank you, Toad. Is when you had the fowl. You know, look at him laughing. Look at him laughing.
Remember having to sign the waiver for one?
What?
You remember that waiver I made you sign for one?
Yeah. Okay, explain this to these guys in case they don't know, or to our loving audience.
Yeah.
You've heard of Vindaloo?
Yeah, the Vindaloo, yeah.
Well, if I was like 2-3 steps higher than that.
No thanks.
So I took over the curries when I was at Toad because it was something I enjoy. I still do love making the curry.
Oh, there he goes. Hold on for the drama of the curry.
Yeah, we're getting a little bit of a. Oh, all right, we lost David.
Yeah, we've done this before. Okay, you're back.
You're back.
Yep.
Continue.
That's all right.
We just talked about. I don't want to talk about the Bills with
so
these guys who are going to hate me. So go on with the foul. On with the foul.
Yeah, so Rob decides to challenge me. This, you got to make this hot curry. So I did it for like.
An understatement. Go on.
I
made it like 3 times.
I remember this now. I remember it. I remember your involvement. Now I remember that.
I actually, I can eat Vindaloos. Not much of them, but I can eat them. But these things are so hot, I'm eating ice cream in between every taste.
That is a wise tale too. Always, I hate that word, but never drink water after you have hot food. It just spreads the heat.
No, yeah. But
I drank a lot of Guinnesses after the fall. The thing was, you got them free after eating it. So I'm like, it's worth it. I don't know if it's worth it. No, but the hottest Vindaloo I ever had, now, like down on Monroe, if you got it, it was fairly mild. And I found a new place. There's a new place by us called Taj Mahal, which I actually want to have the owner on here sometime. I have some good talks with them, and they will make it spicy. But the worst I had was in New York City, where I think I drank 8 pitchers of beer afterwards because it was just so.
House.
But the foul was a lot worse.
Oh yeah.
And I remember this like it was like, okay, imagine just getting punched in the stomach and the pain just being there for 2 days. But Charlotte was leaving, so I went to her farewell party down on Freedom. So she's got to hug me if they get out. I was so lucky I didn't have an accident. I'm like, stop, I love you, but just get away. You know, that was like an agony. It's like for days from this stuff. And I'm like, okay, you outdid yourself, mate. What was the reaction? Did everybody were there like a lot of ER calls from them? You had to sign a waiver to this thing.
Yeah, towards the end, it was getting ridiculous. I always remember there was a lad that was showing off on the date, and I knew the girl he was on a date with, and he sent the thing back in, saying it wasn't actually a fall, it wasn't as spicy. So, trying to show off in front of my friends, so I was going to add one little bit of the extract in, quite a few, and we just stood there at the window watching his reaction. I don't know the
number one, too, was obviously you started getting the sweats right off the bat.
Yeah.
But then the pain.
I had the sweats cooking it.
No, you do, because I know even a couple times now this is a lot smaller, but I've got nailed by the ornery onion where I've had to walk away because it's just like they keep tearing up and I can't take it. But you don't want to get your fingers in it either. But I remember the one, these kids, sometimes you would, and you know this, if you have any stories, you would get the people who just had to show off with the drinking or stuff. And there was one drink, and I'm not going to use the name because it's kind of offensive, but it was under glass. And you would do Yeah, and I don't want to use the name for it. I don't like the name. But I remember the one guy's trying to show off. He had to run right to the bathroom and boot.
One guy just set himself on fire doing that one.
Yeah, there was that one too. But we had some interesting. I mean, Mike Murphy passed away like a year ago or two.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would run and there would be some really interesting characters, and he was one of the most interesting of them all there. I think he practically lived there.
Yeah, I do miss Mike. Tell you what, the best ribs I ever had in my life was Mike's.
Mike was one of these guys who I can't even describe him. He was just a unique character, but he loved the bar. He loved the kids. He would have a 4th of July picnic from the real holiday for our country, which is Superior. As you said, how George Washington lost more battles than he won. But anyways, he would start, I think, prepping 3 or 4 days later with the ribs.
Yeah. They were so good, honestly. I've eaten ribs all over America and all over the world, but they were just unbelievable. They really were.
I think I love that saying the one time, because I know you know history really well. And I remember the saying, the one time I was talking about George Washington, you had a really good hero there. He lost many more than he won.
It's always the last one that counts.
Yeah.
Just like the Guy Fawkes stuff. Aren't they celebrating that they caught him? We're right here. We're like,
Yeah, no, yeah.
That's a bit fair.
I don't think people really take into account all the stuff,
No, I mean, history's, there's a thing like a meme I just put up about, do you enjoy historical dramas, all that? Take a real history class and you won't anymore.
Yeah.
It's like you said, I'd be like the British Empire and everything else. It's like, well, you did bring some good food back. I'll give you that.
Hey, we did a lot of good. We did a lot worse as well, but we did a lot of good.
Yeah,
I mean, it's complex. We're not here to be serious.
Perfect history of our country.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Well, we've invented some quality foods and stuff and and everything else. But the other thing too, you ever meet Emilia Clarke while you're around?
Oh my God.
No, you haven't?
Not Emilia Clarke. I have met 2 of the actors from Game of Thrones before. Sophie, the red-headed girl.
Sophie Turner.
Turner.
Yeah. And Jon Snow.
Oh, Kit Harington. That's
it.
My least favorite.
By the way, disclaimer: I only watched 20 minutes of Game of Thrones, so
it wasn't that great. It's fine.
No, there's one I mean, it's worth it for one person, but I mean, otherwise. But the thing about Peter Dinklage, he's amazing. He's actually from New Jersey, I think, and it's amazing how he can do anything. I think he played Hervé Villechaize. He played I love this movie, The Station Agent. And you forget
that's
American.
Kind of what got him that,
Yeah, I actually really love The Station Agent. I think that's a really good movie. It's got Bobby Cannelli in it too, who's really good. But where'd you meet Sophie Turner?
I was working somewhere at an event, and she just happened to be there. She was pretty nice to everybody, very friendly. But yeah, just be honest with you, I didn't really know who she was. Somebody has to tell me who she was.
Yeah.
But yeah, and Ted Harrington, I kind of recognized who he was, but I didn't know where from. So yeah, but Sean Bean, of course, because I lived in Sheffield, where he's from. Very proud Yorkshireman, a couple of times actually. I've been to his local football club I worked at, Sheffield United.
That's why I actually became. Now, what is really the term? Is it football or soccer? Because I've heard both stories.
Actually, soccer means is short for association football, which is the proper name of the sport. Here's one for you. Do you know what the name football actually means?
Coffee.
No. It means a ball game played on foot. Not a ball game played with the foot, but on foot. So any ball game using just a body and a ball is technically called football.
I love that's one of my little hobbies. I love finding the origins of words and where they all come from and how we mess things up because we don't know what we're talking about linguistic wise.
Honestly, American football doesn't make any sense that it even has the word football because the foot is used very strategically in a few parts of the game. But mostly you're throwing it and running with it. That's 90% of what you're doing.
And you would say if the ball looked like a foot, okay.
Yeah.
No, literally, if you go back to the history, because I did this as part of an argument once, the actual name football comes from before what we have, association football. So rugby is actually we call that rugby football.
Yeah.
Australian rules football don't use the foot very often.
I still can't. I still can't. I used to watch Australian rules footballs. I can't remember what the heck was going on with that. I had a video game of it at one time. And I was like, what am I doing? Now, rugby I get. Cricket I get because one person I knew in grad school, he explained it to me. I get cricket, but Australian rules football, it's like, okay, there's a poisonous animal over here. We're going to run over here. Let's think about like a spider jumps on you while you're playing or something in Australia. Like, no thanks.
American football I got after like a game. Somebody explaining all the different things, the downs and things like that. Australia, I spent like 3 months in Australia and I still don't understand why there's so many different posts.
I think you can run and try to, anytime you can try to kick it through the post or whatever. Just, we're not going to really talk much American football because there's some really hard feelings after last week.
I don't think anybody has anything to be sad about in that game.
I think he's like, I actually have to say, I grew to respect
game, and one of them won on a coin flip.
I grew to respect Josh Allen just watching him on the sideline, but you can't hate Mahomes. I think he's a good guy and he's a great talent.
Well, that was the other thing too. They're both great guys. Like, dude, Mahomes broke off an interview to go give Josh Allen a hug because he saw him, and I was just like, and
you see what the
they
Chiefs
both had
fans,
the same feeling when that happened. They were both.
You see what the Chiefs fans did too? I guess they raised almost $178,000 for a Buffalo charity.
And the Bills fans were giving money to Mahomes charity, so
which is really cool. I mean, it's like, but the other thing too, it's like Taggart and we're both Arsenal fans, and I think that's I actually got into the World Cup in soccer and league soccer because of working at the corner more than the. Now I remember Katie going around putting Sunderland suck signs all over the bar. So she's where she's from, but the thing was just the people, and I know you probably at the toe too, but at the corner. Watching the fans was just such an amazing experience, the way they would act during this and everything. But then Will Taggart got to be insane. He's got to go to one bar dressed all up in like a Dutch fan or like an English fan in an Irish pub. Are you asking for it? But I just love the world. I really like the World Cup, and I got into the whole, but not like Taggart, because Taggart would say, okay, we'll watch Arsenal. What time does it start? 6 o'clock American time. In the morning. Okay, I like them, but not that much. But
yeah, that was weird.
But then we'd be out, I remember his Halloween parties, you're welcome to come over tomorrow. It's like 4 a.m, and the game's at 7 a.m. I'm no, but the thing I like about the league, and I found this out, my friends, I think I told him, I'm going to get the name wrong, but he would fly over to see games. Okay, now what they do in that league, if you stink, I think, what is it, the bottom 3 or 4 teams, they dump you into another league for a while.
Yeah, you're relegated.
Imagine now the Jaguars and all these teams would be playing in the A-League or something.
I really think they should do that with American football. I think it would really shake things up.
Yeah, it's good. We almost had a European-wide NFL style over here with the European Super League, which did not go down well.
No.
A lot of problems with that idea because we love our relegation and promotion. It's actually a big thing over here. Especially if it goes to the final day and there's 2 teams could be relegated and 2 teams could win the league, more teams will watch the relegation games because it's kind of a thing we like. Unless your team's going to win the title, of course.
Yeah,
and I would love to see it live too. I think that would be a really fun thing to go see live, just the whole experience. I think I've always said I like hockey, but if you can get to an NHL game, you can just see so much more with the plays being set up and everything else. And I think just going there and like seeing the fans and everything and just how people are and getting into it would be really great.
Yeah, it's the chance for football in this country. The chance of some of the best you get. The songs they sing about their own players or the opposition. I mean, one of the most famous one is opposition fans go to Liverpool and their song is "You'll Never Walk Alone."
Yes.
But Liverpool, when I was growing up, wasn't great for employment, and some of the lines is with this pen in your hand, sign on, meaning go to the job centre, get your benefits, things like that. So things like that. That's what English football is about, or English sports in general. The cricket has it when we have the Aussies over because we don't like the Aussies, they don't like us. That's the big cricket game.
Well, that was like a big point of contention from John Lennon because a lot of the Rolling Stones were like these posh London suburbanites, and the Beatles came from tough Liverpool, but they were looked at as like the cute little mop tops and everything.
That's all how they were marketed.
Hey, Rob, hey, a couple of
tough guys.
Yeah. What, Chaz?
So what David was talking about signing up, I don't think many Americans, besides maybe me, and I might be wrong, there was a band UB40. I think
it's a check. It's like a welfare check, isn't it?
It means unemployment form, doesn't it?
I think it's an old one. The old I'm not familiar with it. Our benefit system seems to change every couple of months. I have no idea what about it, but yeah, I think that was what they were named after.
Yeah, I do too. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Besides the Beatles, the next best band from the 90s, the Laws, LA's, Liverpool.
Oh, the Laws. There she goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you made me that CD.
It's good freaking stuff.
Actually came up on a YouTube video I was watching today about the best bands that only made one album. I didn't realize that the Laws only made one album.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I did not know that one at all.
They were diminutive, scrawny little guys, but they were amazing and from Liverpool. So
that's really cool. You think you're going to be coming back our way again? Right now, I wouldn't go anywhere near here, but
there is the plan. Next time we're thinking of maybe doing Toronto, staying up in Toronto, then come down. Because
I think right now I actually follow Charlotte Dobre's stuff, and I think Ontario is like under lockdown at the moment.
Maybe another couple of years. We're trying to buy a house this year, so trying to get all that stuff done first. Then, yeah, I want to come back. I do miss a lot of the people in Rochester. I didn't get to see as many people as I was hoping last time.
Sort of my story. Like I've been sort of like recluse mode the last 5 years. It's tough for me because I was caregiving for my dad with dementia, and it was hard to get out. So I'm sorry I missed when you were here. But I was going to think another one, going back to soccer, football, whatever you want to call it. I still remember when Brian and I were like utterly in the sheets. And these Man United fans came in and gave us some of the absinthe they were drinking. And we ended up like hugging them and singing Glory Man United with them. And Brian's all about, we're gonna go get Man United jerseys, but we were both very large at the time and we couldn't find a size that would fit us.
That kind of makes me think of Brian a lot, the way he was when he was have a drink or two with grand ideas. I do miss him though.
I talked to him, and this is the point I've always made. It's like old friends, like some people go by the wayside, but you can always tell a friend because if you don't see each other, talk to each other, even 20 years, when you see each other, you pick up just where you left off.
Yeah, it was a bit like that when I was over there, and he came out he was in the kitchen that day, and as he was getting off, he came out, said hi, had a chat and that.
Yeah, but I missed the one thing I missed about Timmy working there. Well, those were the days if you just felt like being a dick, which I tried not to do. I tried to be nice to everybody. I tried to be, that's why I have a lot of you guys people as friends still. But I was like, anybody want to be mad, just wait till 15 minutes before close and order onion rings. And he might come out and yell who ordered,
Oh, Matt Clary was it? He used to do that to us a lot.
Yeah.
Get the onion rings right at the end.
See, I'm one of those people, like if I go to a restaurant because I work there, like I can't go a half hour before close or anything because I know they have to stay until you're done. And I know officially a lot of them will say, okay, if somebody comes in like at 1:59 and we close at 2. We have to serve them, and I just because I'm like uber polite because I've seen all, and I'm sure you are too, just from working at these places and being like a regular. You just have that ingrained, like I have to give, like especially during COVID when I get takeout, how you have to give the huge tips and everything else because you know how it is.
No, to be fair, I didn't really bother it that much. It was just 1 or 2 times where you've got plans, you want to get out as soon as you can, and like 2 minutes before, yeah. And it was always onion rings. They were the worst because the batter just goes everywhere. You got to re-clean up. That's a nightmare.
Yeah, remember that Stephen Lynch concert we went to at Fisher? I think like we went in the bathroom and like we were like all, I don't know, if one of us was drinking the whole day, but then we went in the bathroom and was like, yeah, that was you. That's what Brian said. Like, Dave's been drinking all day. You're like in the chair slumped over. And Brian and I go in the bathroom and we're like filling jars of cherry Coke with whiskey. And there's a security guard who was still there from when I went there, and he's looking at me. And I tell him, Brian, he waited all these years to bust me. It was like a bad movie. It's like Old School Part 2 or something. And then Stephen Lynch, like, he was, if you never, either of you heard of him, he's like really, really dark comedian, like really very nasty stuff.
Who's that, sorry?
Remember, was it Stephen Lynch we saw? I know you don't remember.
I do remember, actually. I still remember a couple of the songs. He was pretty good.
He's pretty good, but he's like really sort of dark.
He was the one who sang that song about this
about his girlfriend killing herself. He's got another one. He opens the set with the song about waiting for his AIDS test to come back.
Yeah.
And I'm not for censorship, but I am for like not being a dick. About some stuff, it's like you just don't want to make fun of it because it's not funny. And like W.C. Fields said, he could try to make fun of anything, but some stuff's just not funny.
Yeah. No, I do remember that one. I kind of remember some of that day as well because.
I remember. Oh yeah, some of the day. I remember you like slumping over, and I'm wondering if Brian. Now understand when I say this. I'm not like being like sticking my nose because my friend Michelle said when we went out, it's like, okay, since you don't drink anymore, believe me, like, can you believe now I'm like all straight edge? I've lost like 120 pounds. I don't drink, do any of that stuff. I do yoga. I'm a vegan, but. Like my friend Michelle said when we went out, isn't it nice to be all judgmental now about the people that did the stuff that you always did? Like, oh, look at that person fell over drunk. It's like, oh, yeah, but like with you, I can't do that because you know too many skeletons.
I actually do that from time to time. And trust me, I've got nieces now, and one of them's 18, 19. And I say, look, do what you want to do, but trust me, find your limit. Because I've gone way past that limit too many times, and I've lost way too many days.
You can tell, I'm sure there's like some horror stories about me, though I don't think anything went over the line where I'm like going to be.
No, there's a few people there that I could say stories about, which they were a bit too far.
I don't want to. Yeah, I remember
you were fine.
At the bottom of the stairs and stuff.
Yeah, Brian was fine. There was some of the Toadies, they were the worst. There was, God bless them. Unfortunately, I believe one of them's no longer with us. Ben, I believe, unfortunately passed away. But we had a group that, kind of messed up a little bit. There's a lot of people in our group that struggled. I'm not going to use
the name, but I remember there was one person who had the severe problems. And the one time, remember, did you ever go? We used to go to Dublin on Sundays.
Yeah.
Karaoke, where the one just got the drink and barfed all over the bar.
No, I was working that one. I can't remember who it was.
Oh, you remember?
No, we had people that really struggled, unfortunately, with it. For one or two people, it was the first time away from the family. For one, it was the first time actually living away from the family at all.
The thing I tried to do, and you can respond to this, and we'll wrap it up pretty soon, is because I know it's sort of later for you too, is that I tried to, and maybe I failed, but I tried to make people feel welcome.
Oh, no, you didn't fail there. We always felt welcome.
And I think there were a lot of other people like that. I took the girls that snowball all the time. I was trying to take you.
No, you didn't take me. Just the girls.
Yeah.
No, that was one thing I do miss, and I will always say this. It was the people in Rochester, almost every single one, it was so nice. It was like a family. My first night, there was Jason Childers.
Childers.
Yeah. His wife, Laura, they came over. I was thinking of one the other day. I used to go and watch the Rochester Raging Rhinos.
Oh, yeah, I remember them a lot, actually.
Yeah.
They still, I don't know, are they even still around? I don't even know.
Yeah,
we're gonna actually have the roller derby people on the show, but because of COVID, they haven't had a league in 2 years.
Yeah, Rhinos are around because they were in the news in England actually quite recently, like big news because of Jamie Vardy, a famous Premier League players brought into them over here. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
they actually got quite a bit of publicity over here.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. But, it's really, we could go on for 3 hours like we always seem like.
Rochester, New York FC is what they're called now.
Football club.
Yeah.
But are there any ending thoughts you would have about your time here? What did you get out of it the best that you're glad you came over?
I met a lot of great people, first and foremost. It opened my world as well. I was the only one, I think, in my group that had actually lived outside of England for any amount of time. But because I'd lived in Paris before that. So I think this was the first time I'd lived outside the country. I actually liked the place and the people. So I would say that first and foremost. Great experience. I wouldn't do it again. Not at my age.
Yeah, that's
I still like Liz Street. I'm still really good friends with. We just started a movie night that we try to do every 3 or 4 months, which is really cool. She's a nurse now too. See, everybody got out of it, and I think that's the thing. But that's what Luke Roman's on here a lot. I don't know. Do you ever remember Luke? He worked. I don't think he said he didn't know you, but I know he worked at the corner with me. And we were trying to ask, okay, what about the corner and about the total stuff? I think at the end I said, use one word. He said family, because I think the people you have around you bring with you, but there becomes a time where you can't be doing that life anymore. And that's what I don't like. I'm like you, do whatever you want, but know your limits. And I can tell you stories of people, that didn't, and unfortunately what happened to them, but use your own judgment. But it's just really good. I got to know you. I don't know about that 128% beer you gave me. Or that one night, even Brian was worried about me. What was it? The ones where there was a stone night or wherever, was dude, you drank the whole menu. Remember that I drank the whole menu and I ended up having some girl's phone number in my wallet the next day and didn't even remember it.
There was some very strong beers at that pub. In fact, I still have a Dogfish Head 120 here. That was the
Dogfish. Yeah, that was the Dogfish. But I drank the whole menu. And Brian was looking. I don't even remember. Like I said, Brian's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm just barely beginning to start. Then I guess I tried to make out with Matt Moran that night. And I had somebody's phone number in my pocket too. It's one of my friends was like, "Oh yeah, she really dug you." Was the student professor thing. I don't remember. She probably wanted to harvest my organs or something.
I mean, it's one of us left in the industry.
I always say these days, we never hurt anybody. We had our fun and good times, and we made some lifelong friends, which I really appreciate. And I'm sappy these days because of dying last year and all the stuff I went through. I keep saying how much I appreciate everybody if I don't see you. So it's really great to see you though by video. Chaz looks better than ever.
Yeah.
Now you don't. You did before.
I'm by the ocean. That's the ocean there.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Massachusetts.
He's in Massachusetts. I'm in Antarctica. Patrick's in his Fortress of Solitude, and you're in your room.
A Fortress of Squalitude.
Yeah. But we'll dedicate this one to Brian. I was hoping he could be on, but he's still feeling under the weather from the bug there. So, but you'll come back sometime, I hope?
No, definitely. I came back after 10 years. Hopefully,
on the show here, too, it's easier.
Yeah. No, I'd
Oh,
happily
very
come back
cool.
on the
Well, I
schedule.
figure it'd save you plane flight when you're just going to do this. But we usually play music. You're not a musician or anything, so everybody can pretend. What's one of your favorite songs? Everybody can just pretend we played it.
My favorite songs. Oh, God. I don't really know. See, I'm from Liverpool, but it's not a Beatles song. I got fed up of. Is that where the Beatles are from? Never heard of them.
No, they're from Manchester.
Yeah. One of my favorite bands growing up was probably Stereophonics, and it was Hambice and Gladrex, but Rod Stewart, of course, sang it first.
Yes. Was the Office theme, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or the UK
I think
Office.
that one I always kind of liked that one growing up, or Beautiful South, Perfect 10.
Oh,
Not sure if you know
Our
that one.
audience probably would know these because we have sort of like eclectic. Because you have to understand too, we're Carnival of Randomness, but which means about 90 to 95% musicians. Because I have one friend who's a comic book artist. We're gonna have a filmmaker, but pretty much all I know.
Like, we're not pigeonhole this as a music episode, but let's just talk about music a lot.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah, my musical taste actually stopped before I was born. A lot of the music I listen to is jazz, the Rat Park, Ella Fitzgerald, things like that. I love that sort of big band stuff.
Well, anybody wants to like play a theme song at the end, listen to whatever you want to, just not the Beatles. Hey, but thanks a lot, mate. Really good to see you.
It's great to see yourself, man.
Yeah, Chaz, you too.
Patrick.
Pat, always.